release of Abominable this week, and I thought it'd be fun to dive in and talk about my top 10 favorite DreamWorks animated films, because for me, I think there's a lot of nostalgia in here, and there's a lot of DreamWorks films that really hit the core heart of what an animated film should be. While not all of your favorite DreamWorks films will make this list, do understand if they had sequels, say like a Kung Fu Panda, How to Train Your Dragon, I decided to kind of go with and just pick one from those, because there's so many great ones, and I didn't just want to fill it up with all the same ones. Guys, of course, if you're new here, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button, because I talk all sorts of geeky content over on here on a daily basis. And of course, guys, I want to hear what your guys' thoughts are, so comment down below and let me know what your top 10 list DreamWorks animated films would be. And of course, if you guys want to know my thoughts on Abominable, go check it out above. Without further ado, let's get started. Coming down at my number 10 is going to be Monsters vs. Aliens. This is a movie that for me is pure nostalgia. I love this movie, and the kind of the fun aspect of it was the Monsters vs. the Aliens moments. The voice cast in here is fantastic, and the animation here is actually pretty superb and fun. The reason that I had such a blast with this one, and I still do actually to this day when I rewatch it, even though I'm 22 years old now, is the reason that I have fun with it so much is because when you're watching it and kind of adoring it for what it is, it took me back to like the old classic monster movies and even the old classic alien movies that I used to watch with my parents on the old AMC networks when they used to play them all through Halloween. I think that's why like the nostalgic really kicks in on this one, is because it brought me back to some old childhood memories, and I really like the aspects and kind of the fun Easter eggs they have played throughout Monsters vs. Aliens. Of course, coming in at my number 9 is going to be Captain Underpants. I thought this film was completely underrated the year it came out. The animation is superb, and it is easily one of the best animated films from that year, and also one of the coolest looking animated films that DreamWorks has ever done. I actually wish it was cool enough to have gotten a sequel. I think it actually has a show on Netflix. I've never watched it, but I had a blast with this animated film. I actually own it to the point that I'm just a big fan of Captain Underpants. I read the books when I was growing up, and the movie really kind of hit all the notes that I really wanted it to. It was hilarious. It was a laugh riot. The acting, the voice acting was superb, but it was really that animation that stuck out of my brain for so much of it. My number 8 is going to be Wallace and Gromit, Curse of the Were-Rabbit. This is the most underrated claymation film of all time, and I have to say that so much. I never hear people talk about this one, especially when it comes to DreamWorks films, and I actually, when I was going through, I forget that DreamWorks had made this film. This is a brilliant clay animation film, but also if you've never actually watched Wallace and Gromit, I never was the biggest fan of it, but for some reason this movie always stuck out to me and actually got me intrigued to go back and check out the other Wallace and Gromit shows. It also kind of just goes back to the days of Monster House and kind of that fun horror tone that they played along with inside this animated film. My number 7 is going to be Megamind. Now, I love Megamind. I actually just rewatched it a couple days ago, and Megamind is excellent. This is such a superb satire on the superhero genre, and the voice cast in here is really what makes it. Brad Pitt, Jonah Hill, Will Ferrell, and Tina Fey all mixed into this one satirical comedy on the superhero genre, especially now looking back where superhero movies are like coming out every single month. This is a brilliant film in its own making, and while it does have some of those kid humor nitpicks into there that I would have with many DreamWorks animated films, I absolutely just have a blast with this Megamind. I love the world they furthered out, and this was actually one that I'm surprised that we never got a sequel to. My number 6 is going to be Over the Hedge. My God, what a hilarious film. I actually used to also love the video game for this one. This movie to video game adaptation. It's like video game to movies never work, and movies to video games never work, but this one actually was kind of fun. And having these characters, it kind of took me back to the days of when I watched Caddyshack for the first time when I was like 6. And yes, I know, I probably should not have been watching Caddyshack when I was 6 years old, but my dad showed me it, and all those gopher scenes made me laugh my ass off. But with Over the Hedge here in play now, it kind of gave me those same feelings, just from more of a PG vibe. And Bruce Willis as the raccoon, Steve Carell as Hammy the squirrel, one of my favorite animated DreamWorks characters that they've ever created. Over the Hedge definitely deserves a spot on this list. Coming in at my number 5 is another one that I think is very underappreciated, and that is Shark Tales. I actually watched this film so much as a kid that I broke the DVD disc. I was fascinated with the ocean, and in fact, I might have actually watched this one more than Finding Nemo. Surprisingly, even though I do know that Finding Nemo was a better film. Will Smith, Jack Black, Black, their chemistry is off the charts inside this role. Martin Scorsese's also in here, Renee Zellweger. Everything around this world of Shark Tales is brilliant, and really it is because of Will Smith and Jack Black's chemistry in this film. Their voice acting really brought it to another level, and actually when I look at Will Smith, when I think of his top 5 most memorable roles, that's one of them for me. Coming in at my number 4 is going to be Chicken Run. I love Chicken Run, and the fact that they're actually doing a sequel to this is actually a little bit nerve-wracking for me, but I'm all for it. I love when things and when studios go with clay animation. I think it's one of the most unique kind of styles of animation. I wish more films had done it. I love what Leica's doing with the stop-motion animation. Just please, people, keep doing it. It's really, really cool. But with Chicken Run, this film, I broke the VHS for this one, I'm pretty sure, as well. This was one of my most rewatchable films when I was a kid. I rewatched it constantly. I had such a blast with it, and just kind of rewatching and having so much fun with it is part of the fun with this movie, and it's just honestly adorable. Once again, I just love when anime films tackle that satirical nature, and Chicken Run checks off those boxes for even adults. Coming in at my number 3, a lot of you guys probably were like, where's the Shrek franchise? Well, here it is. Shrek II is my favorite Shrek film, and it is also my number 3 favorite Dreamworks film. It is the most rewatchable Shrek film, in my opinion. I love this film to death. It's actually the one that I watched the most. It expanded the lore, expanded the world to another level, and also touched on all these other characters and added in new ones. Puss in Boots. Who could forget? I am Puss in Boots. Puss in Boots. Shrek 2 checks off all the boxes for what a sequel should do. It went bigger. It expanded the world. It added more to the humor and even added more characters. One of the best sequels to any animated film ever. Before I give you guys my top 2, I do want to get into some honorable mentions. Of course, some honorable mentions I do have is actually Abominable. I think this film was adorable, and this generation's Lilo and Stitch. The Bee Movie, Puss in Boots, yes, one of the best spin-offs ever. And I have to mention El Dorado. Almost made it into this list. And of course, guys, make sure to comment down below while you're here. I want to hear your guys' top 10 list. Hit that like and subscribe button for all sorts of geeky content like this on a daily basis. And a big thank you to all my Patreon supporters, because without them, I wouldn't be able to do this. Coming back to my list, my number 2 is going to be How to Train Your Dragon, the first one. While I really like the second one, and in fact, I adore the third one that came out earlier this year, the first one's still the best for me. It has the best elements of growing up, and it really brought me back to my childhood and kind of just growing up. Imagine, like, I had imaginary friends when I was younger, and one of them was a dragon, and I absolutely loved it, and it kind of just felt very relatable, and it started off this whole franchise into such a beautiful telling of a story, and knowing where it's gonna go, how the first one still plays out, every time I watch it, I get so nerve-wrackingly emotional watching it, and it's truly one of my favorite animated films of all time. A lot of you guys must be wondering, what is my favorite Dreamworks animated film of all time? Well, it's Kung Fu Panda 2. Kung Fu Panda, the first one, is a fun movie. And in fact, it's entertaining. And I really had a lot of blast with it. But when it comes to all the Dreamworks films, everyone always talks about How to Train Your Dragon. Everyone always talks about Shrek. But no one ever mentions Kung Fu Panda. Kung Fu Panda 2 is a masterpiece. And I really mean that. And I sometimes I'll throw the word out jokingly, but I really mean that when it comes down to an animated film. It, again, does exactly what Shrek 2 did, but does it even 10 times better. Ups the world, explores the lore and the mythology again, adds new characters, and with other than that, also adds in a more emotional crux to the film, which actually ties in perfectly within the Kung Fu Panda 3, which I kind of went back and forth with deciding which one I was going to put in here, but Kung Fu Panda 2 really just works for me, ups the ante with the villain. The action sequences in here are excellent. The animation in here is, again, kind of up there with how cool Captain Underpants was. I thought Kung Fu Panda 2 also added to that. Actually, the coolest thing about Kung Fu Panda 2 was I actually didn't get to see it in theaters. My teacher in math one day was like, I'm not going to teach class today. Sat her feet up, put in Kung Fu Panda 2, and I was blown away. I went home that day, made my mom buy it so I could watch the rest at home because I was so gravitated by it. I only had like 30 minutes left, but still, I think Kung Fu Panda 2 checks all the marks for what a great animated sequel should be. And really, for me, it's almost near perfect. I love that movie, and I watch it like constantly every single year. I just love the Kung Fu Panda franchise, and it's so underrated. Guys, that's coming up my top 10 list of the Dreamworks animated films. Make sure to comment down below and let me know what your guys' thoughts are on this list. Do you guys like it? Did you hate it? Do you guys hate me for liking it? But again, also understand that this is my opinion, and I can't wait to hear your guys' opinion down below in the comments. Thank you guys again so much for watching this. Hit that like and subscribe button. Check out Sandwich on Films. And of course, until next time, stay classy.